sand my model with glass? Interesting. And welcome to Model Kit Stuff, and yes, got a tool review for you today. One of a few reviews I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks, looking at the Infiny range of sanding sticks. They have a range of different products, and I'm going to take you through those. We'll have a look at them and talk about the pros and cons of them. So all of them I've been using for a little while so that I can talk with some knowledge of them. And we're going to start with this, which is the Clear File 3-way system from Infiny Models Craft Tools. And it's exactly that. It's clear files. In fact, they're glass. Now, let's deal with some of the language and what it actually means. So a 3-way system means you've got 3 different levels of coarseness. You've got fine, medium, and super fine, I think. We'll have a look at those in a minute. And then on the back, it tells us it easily polished with 3 types of clear files: medium, fine, and super fine. If you work with a transparent clear file, you can work with checking that the sprue is removed. Well, we'll talk about that. The clear files can be washed with water and can be used semi-permanently. So semi-permanently is, you can apply that to anything that's not permanent. So basically it will wear down like any other sanding stick will. But possibly a bit more slowly than other tools will. So what you get when you buy it, and they are not cheap, we'll talk about price towards the end, but when you buy one of these, you get 3, I'm assuming tempered glass strips. Now this is the small one. I think they do a larger, wider one, but I went with the small one. And like you say, you get a super fine, a fine, and a medium, and they all have different arrangement of dots on them. So the super fine has tiny little dots, the fine has larger little dots, and the medium has really small dots again, but arranged in a pattern. So it's a bit different. And when you come to use them, they're a decent size for getting into most areas. You won't get them into all places, and obviously you can't cut them down to fit. But if I start sanding the top of this, for example, can I see what I'm doing? Well, strictly speaking, yes, I can. And actually when the file's moving, I can see better. But the reality is, what I found is, my habit is to do a bit and then check, do a bit and check, and I do exactly the same with the glass. I'm doing a bit and then I'm checking because I'm so used to looking at it. Now, whether I can train myself out of doing that, I doubt it, because I'm still using other sanding sticks, because I found these are okay for some things but not for everything. Then the same is true with this one. In fact, I find it harder to see through this one because the dots are larger. But if you can see, I would argue that you cannot see where you're sanding through that. And then with the superfine, you can see better. But again, I'm not sure I could argue that I can see the sprue gate that I want to remove. Especially when you're sanding, you're moving this quite fast, and so it just becomes a grey blur. So as much as I like the idea of being able to see through and see what I'm doing, in practice, you can't and you don't. So there's no advantage from my perspective of them being clear. So let's talk about the next thing. You can wash them under the tap and unclog them. Well, yes, you can. So you've just seen me using these 3 files, and they've all got sanding dust on them. So I'm going to run them under the tap and show you what that then looks like. So there you go. I've just run these under the tap and then given them a pat dry with a tea towel. And the truth of the matter is, most of it comes off, but not all of it. Some of it gets left behind. In other words, it's starting to clog. And to be honest, that's no different to my other sanding sticks. So when I finished with sanding one of these, I wipe the dust off, and then I can run it under the tap and clean it off to preserve the life of it. And that's exactly the same. So I do not think that the semi-permanent is a statement I agree with. I think they're likely to have a life expectancy not dissimilar to a high quality sanding stick. So unless there's another way of cleaning this up that I'm not aware of, this is clogging. And you know, I've washed this in the same way as I'd wash anything. Run it under the tap, rub my finger over it. So yeah, I would argue that they do over time start to clog. So yeah, that doesn't give you a great advantage from that point of view either. What it is good at doing though is polishing. So I don't know if you've noticed where we've just filed. Can you see how shiny it is? It doesn't leave much in the way of scratches in the surface. In fact, it's really, really good. It's like you're polishing the surface, and I really like the finish that it leaves. So if I go in with the medium, which is the coarsest one we've got, and we file, I don't know, let's say this back piece here. There we go. You can see it's shiny. The way it takes material off, it doesn't create a lot of dust, and also it's taking it appears to be taking off less material, and that's why it's polishing a little bit. So if I then do this, I mean, you can see there's material coming away from there. But it's leaving a really smooth finish. Now there is some scratch lines in there, but when we go in with the superfine, they tend to get polished out. And I can look at that now and see that's looking really quite good. And I'm just going to finish that top off there because it niggles me. There we go. So you end up with something that's very smooth and ready for painting. Yeah. So I've used these a few times now, and what I'd say is don't buy them because you have a real burning need to see through your sanding stick when you're sanding, because it doesn't do a great job of that. And I don't think it gives you a good advantage anyway. Certainly not worth the money. Don't get them because you think these are going to, in the long run, save you money and be an investment so that you don't have to buy sanding sticks ever again. Because I don't think they're going to last as long as you might hope that it would. Get them if you're going to, because they do a really nice job of your surface preparation. A really nice job. And you know, you could go in and do your roughing out with an ordinary sanding stick and then finish with this, and you end up with this nice polished surface which is going to take paint really well. And it also helps you see any issues. So I like them. I don't use them a lot. I don't think they are amazing and gonna take the market by storm, and we're never gonna see a foam back sanding stick again. I think they have their place if you want to pay the money. So in the UK, these are going to cost you around about £24–25. Certainly you shouldn't be paying any more than that for them. You can find them at that price on online stores. So yeah, you've got 3 different grits and you're going to spend 24–25 quid on them. And the question mark I have is, I can buy this pack of sanding sticks that go from coarser than this to a lot finer than this for less than half the price. And if I look after them and I wash them, I think they, you know, they may not last as long as these, but, you know, I'm not sure that these are going to outlive 2 packs of those. So, don't know, you take your choice. I just think that's probably better value for money in the long run. And when these are no longer usable, I don't think I'll be replacing them. And they certainly don't work on paint particularly well. They clog dreadfully with paint. So I certainly can't recommend them. I certainly wouldn't say rush out and get them. They have their place, but they're absolutely not an essential tool. But if you see them and maybe you can pick them up at a bargain price, then they do a nice job of the polishing, like I say. And I know a couple of people really like them. But for me, they're one of those tools that are a little bit of a gimmick, maybe. But that's your decision. I'm just telling you my experience of them. So I hope that was useful. Thank you very much for looking in. It's a pleasure to have you along as always. You enjoy your modelling, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.